Hey, what's up everyone? This is Faja and we're back today with another YouTube tutorial covering my track Up Up Bounce. It's kind of like a hard house, speed house, hard groove, I don't know, hybrid track. They're all similar-ish genres, kind of. So a lot of people have been asking me to do more of these videos, so I thought we'd go through it. Everyone seems to really like Up Up Bounce. I already recorded this video once and turns out the audio wasn't recording, so I'm gonna go through this fast because, yeah. Anyways, let's jump in. So as usual, we're gonna start with the drums. We're gonna go first to the kick. Pretty simple. I put kick tweak and then Oxford inflator and soft clipper to do a clipping effect on it. I don't use these anymore. I actually just do kick tweak and then initial clipper. It's a free plugin online for clipping. It's sick, so I would use that instead. A little fab filter just to EQ things. Fruity Scent and Endless Smile are actually just there for the build, which I will show you guys after. Next, we got various different drums, hats, claps, little percussion loops. There's just different layers, and I'm just using a bit of fab filter and soothe on most of them to kind of balance and clean them. But on the elements that I want sitting more forward, I use OTT to push them forward. So like this hat loop is kind of like more of a background one, but this percussion loop is a bit more forward. This loop comes a bit more to the top, OTT makes it pop, and then this hat is the main hat. This is the one that needs to be right in the front and sparkling, so that's why I have OTT and transient shaper on it, to push them forward, give them an attack. Side Q to really boost the highs of it and make it cut through the mix. Fab filter and soothe are there too to just kind of clean it up. So that's kind of how I think of them. I'm using these very similar plugins just to clean things, and then OTT and transient shaper on whichever elements need to cut through and be forward. So let's hear that together with the kick. All right. Okay, let's go to the bass line. Nothing crazy, this is just like a very simple bass, like kind of saw block. So I put the mid layer and the top layer on the same channel, and I did that because I want them to be glued together. I want them to sound kind of as one. Sometimes I do that, put the same on the same channel. To put two layers on the same channel. So you got this kind of attack, you got the mid, put them together. And I have OTT to tighten things up just a little bit. Saturation knob was saturating things. Side Q is just kind of, I guess I boosted 0.7 for whatever reason. I guess it was what felt right or sounded right. Transient shaper to make it all have that attack. And I think because they're two different layers, you need to kind of compress and shape the transients together so it sounds as one. So. Fab filter to EQ and LFO tool because that's what I like to use for my sidechain, and I just kind of shape it to the kick. But honestly, this rhythm is good because it doesn't even ever play at the same time as the kick does. It just kind of is cutting off the tail so it doesn't bleed over into when the kick plays. So let's hear that all together. These hats, these claps, percussion loops, all that. And, oh, sorry, here you go. All right, cool. Now let's go to the kind of ear candy or like mid parts. You got like stabs, little effects and stuff. So I have the stab sample and a layer of rave generator. I just wanted to beef it up, so I added that rave generator layer. OTT makes a cut through. Sausage fattener, where is it? Fattens it a little bit. Side widener just to fill the space. Amazing stereo plugin. And then side chain on it. Whoops. Sounds great together. Great. Yeah, love that one. And this is just a loop. Just kind of gave it more rhythm. Yeah. And I have these whistles. These are like in every hard house song probably. And lately, every one of my songs. Yeah, a crash cymbal. You know, just some like FX, obviously. Nothing crazy. Same chains, same ideas. OTT to make it pop. Sci-Q for a little bit of sparkle because it's great on boosting high end. Very good, recommend it. Transient shaper to make it cut through. Fab filter. Make sure you put linear phase on if you're doing these big cuts. I always talk about this in my videos, but if you're new here, you would have seen that. Linear phase. Or just don't do steep cuts like this. But I think that's actually the ideal scenario, but I did it. Soothe to tame it a little bit. And then we're going to go to like the main part, so the vocal.
Up, bounce, up, and...
So when James from NotXerius sent me this vocal, well, let me play for you dry.
Up, bounce, up, and...
So he recorded through an amp.
Up, bounce, up, and up.
Now you can actually hear the metronome very slightly in the background. So what I first did was I put a noise gate on it. I was too impatient to and just didn't really. I just wanted to get the song done. I just wanted to really work with it. So I didn't bother to ask him to record a new take. I just put a noise gate and OTT. OTT to tighten it. I use a lot of OTT. Maybe I don't even need to use that much. There's 56% on it. Sausage fattener to just fatten it a little bit. There's only like a little sparkle of it. Vocal synth, which is where a lot of the character's coming from.
Up, bounce, up,
because it's a lead vocal, there's no doubles on it. It's only a lead vocal. So I added like the vocoder here and a bit of chorus and distortion. It just kind of adds character, adds some layers to it, which make it great on the drop. A bit more energy. Fab filter here. And what I did was I boosted the middle signal of it. So let me play without.
Up, bounce, up, bounce, up, bounce, up, and up.
Like it felt like it was missing something without that boost in the middle. I wanted it to really be popping in the middle of your face. So that's kind of why I did it. MGUC just to control the peaks a little bit. Now I have a reverb send. And basically I EQ'd the signal coming into it. I did not put on linear phase. That's literally just a mistake, so ignore that. Echo Boy, Valhalla Room, just different presets I like messed with. And then I did OTT. OTT just kind of tightens it together. I think you know, when you have a reverb send, you throw the reverb in and sometimes it gets kind of like wishy-washy, but you put an OTT after it and it makes it just like, I don't know, just tightens it. Fab filter to EQ it again. Sidewire to spread the reverb, make it fill up the place. Soothe kind of is taming, or not taming, is controlling just some levels, some peaks of it, whatever might be whatever might be sticking out from the reverb. And then there's nothing really on the final vocal bus. Endless Smile is just I'm using in the build. And then I have Soothe after the Endless Smile because sometimes Endless Smile creates these crazy little resonant frequencies, so I need to tame that. Okay, now the next part that we're going to go through is the lead, which is important. So a friend of mine thought it was like an Afrojack kind of lead, but it is not. It's actually inspired by West Coast hip hop. So I had never heard. My whole thing is I like trying to blend genres, and I haven't heard a track in this vibe where it has West Coast hip hop elements. So I added that classic, like, you know, GTA San Andreas lead. You hear it in a lot of old school tracks from that era. So very simple patch. I mean, it's a sine wave and a saw basically. And my chain is nothing crazy. I have Sci-Q to make it sparkle. Decapitator is making it a little fatter. Little plate I like because you can put this reverb directly on your channel, and then you can adjust the mix, and whatever part is actually being affected, you just low cut it so you don't get that low end muddiness. It's not being applied to the entire reverb, and you know, it's I'm lazy, so I just like using it like this. OTT tightens it a bit. Side widener is widening as usual. Fab filter just to EQ it again. Here I did not do the steep cut, and it gave it a bit more body by not doing that. It made it sound more full. So, but I did put linear phase on regardless. Endless smile for the build. MJUC to control the levels, because when you use endless smile, sometimes it gets louder, so you need to adjust those levels. And then sidechain, because you need to make a bounce and make room for the kick. I think that's pretty much all of these things here. Let's see. There's a few more extra effects. But basically how I started with the track was just drums and the bass. And then what happened was I'm like, okay, let's fill in the holes. So then I added like the stabs. And then I added in the vocal. But a lot of tracks, hard house kind of tracks, like they have the vocal looping throughout the entire thing. But I don't really hear people do call and responses in this style. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a call and response, and add something unique, which is the weird lead, the West Coast hip hop lead. And you put it all together, and now you have this unique idea. So I often think of things, my ideas, as like filling in little puzzle holes. So I add the foundation, and then I start adding in little pieces. There's like a little shout, a little stab, and then you add in like the main chunk, which is the vocal, and then you're like, okay, I have this piece here. Okay, let's add in the weird lead, and then you step back and you have this big picture. That's kind of like how I think about it. So let's go to the breakdown. The breakdown, I mean, is essentially the same as the drop.
Bitch, I don't wanna be the one that.
Like, it's the same elements. There's the stabs. It's just no drums, no hats. But then what I did was I added some extra effects. So there's like the reverse stab here, you know? And that, I don't know, it gave this feeling that I can't describe. It's a vibes thing. You can't describe vibe stuff. It just works. I liked having it there. And I added these scratch samples. To me, that also gave it a West Coast hip hop vibe, having the DJ scratch. So that's why I added that in. But I use it across a lot of my tracks now. I like the feel of it. It feels old school, it feels ravey.
One that you be going home with.
The thing I did add, though, is actually this little, like, where is it? This little kick. No, that's not it. There you go. It's a little... And it just kind of, I just wanted there to be an impact. I didn't want it to be completely void of bass on the breakdown.
Bitch, I don't wanna be the one.
Yeah, so that's why I did that. Now, we can pretty much go to the build because, oh, here, actually, let's show you this. So there are some vocal dubs for the breakdown, but they pretty much have the same chain as the lead vocal. Actually, they have the exact same chain, but they're panned differently. And then I did EQ them a little bit differently, I think. So it's pretty much the same, though. Nothing crazy going on here.
Going home with people be all about it.
You know, just adds a little bit of thickness. Makes it a little interesting having those dubs. All right, so let's go to the build. This is where a few new elements come in. We have the risers. I have my go-to risers I kind of like to use. And snare rolls. Same processing I do with a lot of my drums. OTT, transient shaper, make it pop out. And because it's like a dynamic element, it changes. There's kind of like a built-in, there's a bit of a built-in sweep on it. So I added soothe to make sure it's being adjusted as it develops, as it's being EQ'd as it develops, and MJUC to make sure that the levels are controlled, because it gets louder as it goes, you know? So you can see it's quiet, gets louder, so MJUC is balancing it. And same with the risers. Soothe. So on that one, this one doesn't have any soothe, but just a little bit of EQing. So now one thing you should see that I do with these risers is that I just kind of pan them slightly. This one's 6% left, the other one's 6% right. Just so things are spread, not sitting in the same spot. The elements are a little bit in different places. And I did introduce this hat loop here, though. so that you feel the groove coming as the drop comes. So I added those hat layers. And Endless Smile, I do that a lot on my elements. And the thing I like that I did here was that, let me show you. As he says up,
So we go up, up.
the pitch goes up. So that I thought was a cool effect to do. And then there's like this little extra jungle sample. And that these different evolving pieces, I think, made the build more interesting. So, but yeah, again, like this is essentially like a hard groove breakdown kind of. Like I took inspiration from that, from like Ephesian, for example. His breakdowns are essentially the drops, but the drums removed. So you have these stabs, and then the build, and you slowly introduce these elements, these risers and stuff, and then you get the full picture of everything. The second breakdown is nothing really super different. What I did was I just added like an 808 essentially. Just saturated it and OTT'd it, distorted a slight bit. And I added that because I wanted that hip hop vibe in it again. Second breakdown. And it makes it feel a bit more tense. Everything's a bit more like, it gets a little bit darker in this section, and there's a little bit more tension. There's a clock. Just make things a little eerie before, you know, we go to the next part. And the next build is essentially the same as well. It's the exact same. But what makes it different is that there's a different intro into the second drop. And now for the second drop, I didn't want to make it completely different because that up bounce vocal is like the part everyone sings. It's like the part that people love. And so I didn't want to switch it up completely. So I'm like, well, let's just switch up how the second drop is introduced. And funny enough, this part is one of the parts that goes the hardest in the club. When everyone hears that, this part right here, I'll show you.
Up, bounce, up and bounce.
That part it kind of trips people out, but it does it in a really fun way, and people will always go off to this. So that's why I did that there.
Up, bounce, up and bounce. Up, bounce.
And you get back into it. But now to at least make it a little bit different, more energy, is I added this ride. It just gives like that top sizzle. Has this kind of like panning effect on it. That was built into the loop though, and then I just EQ'd it. Nothing different. You know, if you guys are also making a track, your EQs are gonna be different. But so I'm just kind of showing you the overall order of things I'm doing and why I did it. And then LFO tool to make it bounce, make the ride kind of bounce with it. And then yeah, I mean, there's nothing crazy going on here. This is just a fill. I think that pretty much covers it all. I don't do anything really crazy with my tracks, honestly. What I think is cool about this track is the combination of elements that made it unique. I didn't have a reference track for this really, not fully, but it was the little ideas that made the bigger picture really unique. Like having a hip hop vocal with West Coast hip hop lead over what is essentially really simple elements. These drums, these stabs, they're nothing very crazy. And this track isn't even very crazy. I mean, if you take away these different vocal layer channels, I really have like I probably have like 30 tracks really. It's nothing very complicated. It's the combination of how you use these simple elements that make things unique. I think it's a really important thing to note. You don't need to make your tracks super complicated. You just need to have a cool combination of ideas. And, you know, I'm also not a very technical person in terms of mixing. I don't particularly love doing mixing, but I keep things relatively simple. And a very important thing I always talk about is make space for stuff. Don't clutter your mix too much and cut elements. Try to do things in audio when you can. Like all these drums are basically in audio, and that allows me to really shape things and make room for things. It's all very fundamental ideas, so keep all of that in mind. That will help you make your tracks. And another thing to note too is when I do these tracks, I think of it, like I think I said this before, but I think of it as like as a puzzle essentially. I'm starting with the foundation, I'm filling in these little pieces, and then, you know, I'm adding the vocal, the leads, and then I pull back. I start deleting things, cutting, and eventually you have a very good idea. So that's kind of how it is. But yeah, I think that basically covers everything though. If you guys have any questions at all, just let me know. I'm going to start doing more of these videos because it seems like people really like them. It seems to be the most popular videos on my channel. So I'll do more breakdowns. Let me know if there's any questions you have about anything at all. I'm happy to respond. And also be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.